this is going to be the agenda for today. We're going to kind of quickly go over patient forms. You know, a lot of patients need, you know, a lot of practices are requiring to do COVID pre-screening. And so we've kind of established a more efficient way to manage this in our patient forms module. If you're an Adit client, patient forms is completely free of charge. We highly recommend, regardless of what package you're on, patient forms is included with your service. So if you haven't signed up already, we highly recommend you mentioning it to your customer success manager, as patient forms is free of charge. The best things in life are free, right? So patient forms is one of those things. Second thing we're going to cover today is how to leverage Engage. And when I say Engage, I'm specifically talking about patient texting and appointment reminders, and how you can use the two to minimize the time your front desk spends on phone conversations coordinating for COVID. The third is to kind of go over how you can make it more efficient to reschedule all those canceled appointments. So as you know, as every practice knows, I mean, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands of appointments that have been canceled and or rescheduled in this time period. And so with that in mind, you know, rescheduling becomes a hurdle for some of our DSOs that have, you know, many locations, as well as the individual practices. It's difficult both ways. So we're going to kind of walk you through our Adit platform with regards to how you can optimize this, and with online scheduling as well as mass texting. And then last, the fourth thing we're going to cover today is some of the, you know, how reviews are being impacted by COVID. Google's, you know, rolled out a couple of different regulations that's affecting COVID, so we're going to cover that as well. And then we're going to lastly go over Telemed, our new video product that helps you limit in-office consultations. And so right here, Fahad just put a message in the chat to the sign-up sheet. So please, if you've joined late, please go ahead and sign up with the link at the bottom. The CE course credit code is going to be provided at the end of the session. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with patient forms. So we're going to go ahead and build out a form today. So I'm going to build a form from scratch. So to do that, you just click create form, and then you end up on this page right here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to select a location. Now, this is a test account. And so in our test account, we have a lot of locations that are not connected, especially during COVID, our offices have been closed. So you'll notice that I have this red message at the bottom saying some locations have been disconnected. If everything's working well on your side, you shouldn't see this red message. If you do see this red message, please reach out to your customer success team and they'll go ahead and get that fixed. And so you select a location here. So let's say in the location dropdown, you can select, for example, the location that we're going to use today is Memorial, which is connected to we're connected with that software. So you can set up a form title here. So we're going to call this, you know, Adit pre-screening. And so this is an example of a form, you know, that we have filled out. And so you have this setup going. So, you know, this is the title for your form. At any time that you build your form, you can actually see what it looks like by just clicking the view form button. It might take a second to load, but it'll pretty much just show you what the form is going to look like. So you can see Adit pre-screening test form. And so, so everything is organized into these little sections. You can actually collapse a section by clicking on this. And then you have subsections like this one right here. So let's say I call this first subsection general patient information, right? So here you can kind of select, you know, first name. And so basically this is like a subsection of the main page. And so within this subsection, you have the field first name. Now this is set up to be a single line item, which means that it's just a single typeface field. So for example, you can actually select to, you know, be a phone field, which limits the user to only put in a phone number. You can limit to be an email, a date, you know, things like that, currencies. You can also do multiple choice. You can do check boxes. You can do short answers. We find check boxes to be really good when we're trying to do consent fields. Like I myself have, you know, approved so-and-so to do, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then it just has a checkbox. And so you can do that as well. And so just heads up. So let's say we have a single field. You then click on this little plus icon and you can set up a middle name. So single line text field. And I'm going to add a third one. I'm going to call it last name. right? Now you can actually columnize this because you want to make your form a little bit more efficient. So if you drag it from the bottom, and you can actually drag and drop. So whenever you drag from the bottom, you're essentially trying to columnize the content. So you can go up to 3 columns like this in one specific section. Yeah, it's the browser. So you can see first, middle, and last name. I'm on a laptop, so my browser is a little bit smaller. You might have to zoom out one level to be able to get enough space to drop it in. And so you got your first name, your middle name, and your last name. At this point, it can become quite tedious to have to create more and more fields. So we have this way where you can actually duplicate a row. So you can either go on the field section and click this icon to duplicate a field, or you can actually duplicate a row. So if I do this here, I've just duplicated this row, which makes it a little bit easier. I can call this email, and I can select this to be email. I can select this to be phone, right? And I can select this to be DOB, date of birth, right? I'm gonna make this a single line text. So once you create this this flow, what's really cool is once your software is connected, you're actually able to come in here and select this second thing that's called PMS field. So here you're able to actually connect specific fields to fields in your practice management software. So if you select PMS field, for example, first name can be synced over to your first name, middle name can be synced over to your middle name, and so on. And so you can actually sync these fields up so that when a form is submitted and you approve it, that data that's in that field will populate in the practice management software with that respective field. So you're essentially like mapping the configuration between the Adit patient forms and your practice management software. It's really helpful with respect to automating the process of importing forms. That becomes a really tedious process. Now, a good example is date of birth right here, right? So date of birth does not pull up in here. Like I don't see it as a dropdown. And the reason for that is sometimes what happens is the field itself is not consistent with the field in the software. So for example, I had this originally set up to be a single line text field, right? And when I looked here, I couldn't see date of birth, because date of birth in, let's say this is an open dental connection, is not a date field. It's a single line text field. So you want to kind of come in here and update this to be a date field, and you would sync this over with birth date. And so I'm going to keep this form simple. I'm not going to build out a long, tedious form, but I just want to kind of show you what that's going to look like. I'm also going to add a signature field over here as well. So I can just come over here and click the signature icon, and it adds a signature field right here. So I'm going to kind of drag and drop this lower. So you can see this is a signature field. Essentially what this states is that, the moment you put a signature field on a form and a patient submits that form, you're not able to go back and edit that form, because they've signed, right? So you'll have to just make it, you'll have to make do with what they've sent, or you can send it back to them to update their current filled out form. And so let's take a look at what this looks like. So if I click view form, so this is what the form looks like, right? So you have your Adit pre-screening test form, which is the title. I call it general patient information, which was that header right there, this one right here. And then over here, you can see first name, middle name, last name, email, phone, DOB, and signature. And so, like I said, this is pretty simple. On mobile, it looks really nice. You can actually, see what it looks like on a mobile phone. So that way a patient can do all of this from their mobile device, their iPad, whichever means necessary. How do you communicate with your patient about all of this logistics? And so essentially what's happening is you have a patient and they're booked for an appointment, let's say on Monday of next week. So first of all, you have your normal process of reminding patients. You don't want your front desk to have to get on a phone call with every single patient and walk them through everything related to COVID. You can do that, but depending on your practice and the amount of patients you see, that might not be feasible. That might be very difficult to handle logistically, and more importantly, it's not the most effective way. Most patients nowadays respond better to texting than phone calls. And so what we recommend you do, and what we've seen a lot of practices do successfully, is what they do is they just go ahead and they use Engage. And so I'm going to walk you quickly through how Engage can be used in communicating with your patients. I'm going to actually switch over to the Memorial location, since we've been using the Memorial location. So So first of all, what you want to do in memorial locations, you want to first text your patients. So the first thing you can do is you can, of course, go ahead and search for your patients and search their names and go ahead and text them. So that's the first thing you can definitely do. The second thing you can do is what we recommend is auto reminders. And so the way auto reminders works is you're actually able to customize the message that goes out to the patient before their appointment, right? So when you go to appointment reminders, you're able to actually customize that text message that goes out to the patient on the morning of or before their appointment. So if you notice on my screen, I clicked on the specific location memorial, I clicked on appointment reminders, I clicked on add a reminder, and now I can filter this to go out to the patient, let's say the 1 day or the same day COVID reminder, right? So I can say I want to send this to all my patients, whether they're confirmed or unconfirmed. So I can actually select all of them, whichever ones I want to. And then I can go ahead and, filter out if I want to based on advanced filters or not. And I can say, hey, I want to send this before appointment 0 days before at 9 a.m. You can make this earlier in the day. So you can actually make it down at like 7 a.m. if you'd like. So you make it at 7 a.m. and you can put a simple thing as, hello, patient first name, patient last name. And you can actually put in here, this is ABC Dentistry. You have an appointment today at appointment time. Please remember to have your appointment form filled out before, or have your COVID pre-screening form filled out before your appointment. On arriving, please give us a call or text us before coming in, right? Form is here, right? So you can say form is here, and then you can go ahead and copy that link that we had copied, and we can just go ahead and paste it over here. And that's your form. So now you can click save, right? And now what'll happen is before that patient comes in, they'll get that entire text message. So they can fill out your COVID pre-screening form. They can get a message that, hey, they're gonna text you or call you before they come in. And you can pretty much set up that whole thing to happen the morning of their appointment. So that's been really cool. A lot of patients have been doing this and it's been very effective. And so that's one thing we highly recommend with respect to COVID. It's been super effective for our clients. Online scheduling is a lot more complex than Engage, and that's why I'm going to spend more time over here. So again, please excuse all the test information we do a lot of testing. And so online scheduling is, I can't stress how important online scheduling is to streamline your front desk. Everyone always states, I don't want to open up my schedule. I can't afford to have people looking at my schedule. I like to be in control. These are common questions and concerns we get from customers before they try out online scheduling. Once we set them up on online scheduling and they use it, there's usually 1 or 2 hurdles, but once we overcome those hurdles, practices become 100% dependent on this scheduling feature. And so we highly, highly recommend you try out online scheduling. If you need a walkthrough, it is intense, it is a bit complex, definitely reach out to your customer success team. Someone from our technical support team will walk you through it immediately. And so we're really, really good about setting it up to be completely consistent with your practice. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you how you set up online scheduling. But with respect to how we handle this in COVID, I'll explain this first. And so first of all, we have a lot of practices that have canceled their appointments, right? So, there's a lot of patients you need to reschedule. One of our practices the other day had actually used Positive to send out a mass text to I think 800 canceled appointments, and they had scheduled somewhere about 50% of those had scheduled back, meaning over 400 appointments were rescheduled using the software. And so what we realized in that sequence was that it went way faster because of 1, mass texting, and 2, online scheduling. And so that cut down a lot of time that the front desk would otherwise spend, just trying to schedule appointments. And so the way online scheduling works, I'm going to kind of give you an example of how it works, first of all. So let's look at a website. So we have this test site called pzlnk.us. If you ever want to see what online scheduling looks like, we highly recommend going to this link. So we actually have two examples of online book appointment forms. One is right here, and then the other one is over here. So there's two different versions, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how both of them work. So in version 1, you can actually, come in here and you can select a location. So remember we talked about Memorial, right? So Memorial, I'm going to select a service. Let's say new patient exam and x-ray. You can actually edit this field. You can add services, you can remove services, whatever you want to do. You can select a provider. You can put different doctor names. You can put hygienist. You can put, all sorts of different names. And then the default date is for today, Thursday, June 18th. You can see there's no available times left today. If I click on tomorrow, you see there are some availabilities. Patients can also just click on the next available time as well, or they can specifically click on, an appointment slot. So like, let's say I want to do tomorrow at 3 p.m. At this point, I can, fill out my name. So let's say I'm, Mark Smith. My birth date was, I believe, right. And I can put in, a number 4681445. And then I can select a payment option. I can choose to, I'll pay myself. I can choose a specific payment option. So you're more than welcome to add as many payment options on here as you would like. You're also more than welcome to not put a payment option as well. And so you can choose to allow them to select this or not. And then they can add comments like, you already have my insurance on file. And so I can go ahead and click schedule now. I can also book for my child or spouse, just so you know. But let's say I click schedule now. Now I never said, the thank you page is set up, which is thank you for contacting us. Our staff will be in touch with you as soon as schedule and confirm your appointment. You can change that verbiage as you would like. So if your website is with Adit, then we can go ahead and make that change for you. So now that that's been put in, essentially what's going to happen is that appointment is going to pull up in the online scheduling. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh over here. You can also set up and we highly recommend this. We highly recommend you download this application right here called the notification app. If you install a notification app, essentially what happens is when a patient fills out that appointment, you'll get a notification that sits on your desktop and reminds you of that appointment or notifies you of that appointment request. If someone fills out a patient form, you'll also get that notification there as well. And so you can see Mark Smith, who just booked that appointment, just pulled up in my software here as Mark Smith, the location being Memorial, appointment date, appointment time that I'd selected, service, and all of that. And so if I use Open Dental, or if I use Dentrix, Open Dental, EagleSoft, ClearDent, what'll happen is that appointment will be automatically added onto my software. So I can go ahead and have that auto populate in the software, which is pretty cool because that way, you don't have to manually go in and add that appointment. If you want to send out an appointment request, you just click appointment request. You put in the patient's name. So let's say, Mark Smith. You put in the number 4681445. You can select a location, and then you can click send. And it's going to request them to. It's going to basically send. I'm going to go ahead and send that out. It's going to basically send them this message right here with the link for where they can book it on their phone. So now they can actually schedule a time based on their cell phone. And that becomes so helpful when you're trying to mass schedule so many patients, right? So I can't stress how important that is. So I'm gonna go back to Engage, and I'm gonna teach you a little cool trick over here. So in Engage, we have this software, we have this thing called patient recall, right? So in the patient recall section, you're essentially able to kind of go in and set up recalls, right? So like, let's say you have all these patients that are overdue for the next appointment. So you go to recall reminders, right? And let's say you say, I want to, you can actually set up what kind of recall you want to run. So let's say you run your Profi recall. You would know what this is based on your practice management software. So you click add, right? You'd select a reminder name. So you say, 2 weeks before. And you're going to set it up to be, I want to do Profi, active, I want to do before the due date. So due date is established on a patient based on the recall type you associate to their appointment. So for example, if someone has signed up for a new patient exam and they have a 2-week, a Profi, a 6-month recall, there's going to be a due date associated to that appointment 6 months in advance. And so, so let's say you say before due date, whatever that due date is, which is 6 months after the appointment, right? So we'll say 2 weeks before, we want to send out a text message at 9 a.m., right? Now, this is where it gets cool. So hello, patient first name, last name. This is ABC Family Dentistry. Our records show you are overdue for your next appointment. Or we can call it just due for your next appointment. Please reply to this message or call our office at phone number to make an appointment, right? Now, phone number is a field over here. So just heads up, that's the actual field that's gonna pull up. But let's say I wanna change this up and I say, please schedule your appointment at this link. Or you can say, please feel free to please give us a call or schedule your appointment online at this link, right? Now, so let's get that link real quick. I think I had already copied it. Yep, there you go. So that was the link for the online scheduling that I had copied and pasted. So this, if I go to this, right, and I go over here, this is that book an appointment form, right? So they can actually go ahead and do this directly on that landing page, right? So this link will work perfectly. So now you can click to save. And then what'll happen is that's how they'll get their recall. And you can essentially automate the process of sending a recall message and getting them to go ahead and schedule directly into your software. Positive has been very instrumental for our practices to get reviews. If you don't use Positive, and if you don't have more than 100 reviews at least 4.5 star rating, and you're not using Positive, I highly recommend you call your customer success manager immediately. Positive is a must-use case software if you want patients. And so reviews are everything today. I tell practices all the time that before a patient looks at where you went to school or what your degree is, they look at your reviews. A patient is more likely to go to you as a dentist based on your reviews on Google than they are based on your diploma. That's a fact. That's a reality today. Reviews dictate everything. With Positive, if you're not sure about how to use Positive already, I'll give you a quick brief walkthrough. But with Positive, you're able to automate the process of texting your patients to get reviews. So as you already know, or you should know, the way Positive works is that when it integrates with your software. So whenever you mark an appointment complete, essentially what happens is they get a text message that says, whatever you define it to be. So for example, in the memorial location here, you can see I'm going to select a phone number, just the same as online scheduling and patient forms. You can set up this to be automatic, right? And so what's going to happen is whenever you mark the appointment complete, it's going to automatically send them a text message. And it's going to say, thank you for visiting Adit. Please leave us a review by clicking the link below. And then it's going to have your link. The business page that's connected gets connected over here. Now, I haven't had it synced, but you can just click manage business pages and connect your business page. Or you can go ahead and give us a call and we'll connect it for you. If you're an Adit client, more than likely it's already connected. Because we use this, it to show reviews on your website. And so would you like to filter out unhappy patients is an option that you have. So you can say yes or no. So when they receive a text message, you can choose for when they click on a link to see this question that says, would you recommend our service? If they say yes, it takes them to where they can select on a social site that you've connected over here. Or if they say no, then it'll take them directly to Google. Or it'll take them to a form that they can fill out and that'll come back to you. And so that's your patient flow, which allows that gating concept. It's up to you. Some people don't use it because they believe Google's policies will, affect them negatively. There has been cases in the past where that's happened. We leave that decision up to you. In my opinion, I recommend you do it without the gating to maximize your reviews. And so you can send out this request. Reviews are everything in COVID, and let me tell you why. First and foremost, every patient is looking at your reviews when they're booking an appointment. Second, every patient is worried about their safety, especially if you're in rural areas. So if you're in a rural area, then more than likely an urban area. If you're in an urban area, patients are very conscious about COVID. If they have tooth pain, they're going to do everything they can do to not go to your practice because they're scared of COVID. Urgent cares, emergency ERs, standalone ERs, a lot of these, facilities are facing, downward trends in their patient flows because people are not going to these facilities because they're scared of COVID. When they go to your business page, they look at your reviews and someone mentions this practice used all the COVID related stuff. They're very safe. They didn't make me wait in the waiting room. They took care of me. Everything was safe and secure. I feel really good. That's big. That's really, really big. And so what we recommend is when your patient is at the checkout counter, you want to mention to them, hey, how was your experience today? It was good. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. You should be getting a text message any minute now. Do you mind going ahead and leaving us a review with respect to how we have operated during COVID? Right? And so you mark that appointment complete when they're at the checkout counter, they'll immediately get the text message. And that text message, they go fill it out and you mention that message along with it, they'll leave a review related to COVID. So the way telemed works is essentially you're able to start a video session. So let's click on telemed, for example. So in telemed, you're able to, it's a very simple software. So one of the biggest problems people have with using, visual softwares is that there's always a download software kind of thing, right? So it becomes very difficult to download a software, turn it on, there's complications and all of that. With telemed, everything is fully virtual. And it's non-downloadable. So for example, if I'm on telemed and I click on Memorial, for example, and I click on Start Session, it's gonna immediately allow me to start a session and it's gonna ask to use my browser's video settings. And so I can actually go ahead and start this. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this over and I'm gonna go ahead and text it to myself. I'm gonna click New Chat. You can actually just go ahead and send that to a patient. And what'll happen is when that patient gets the text message, they'll be able to access that text message. That pretty much sums up our entire session. Thank you very much for staying with us today.